Hey, welcome to the Road to Black podcast, episode 45. We're back from a couple weeks vacation here. Wes, my brother, what's up, man?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Good, good. We're just sharing some stories about we've both been on. You were gone for a week to Alaska, which
Yep.
looked amazing.
It was amazing.
You're gonna have to fill us in about that. I was gone this last week to Hawaii, so one extreme to the other, but both probably two of the most beautiful places in the United States.
Totally.
I would probably say, and I haven't been to Alaska, so you were texting me. You're like, you got to get here, man.
That's exactly what I said. You got to get
How
up here.
how enormous is the landscape? That's what everyone says. Like, I've been to Colorado, we've been to Arizona, like the woods, the mountains, but
It's
they say
wild,
when you
man.
see Alaska, it's like fucking mind blowing.
It is mind blowing. It's wild.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
every place that you go is just
National Geographic.
totally National
Yeah.
Geographic. Like, we only hit two spots really. Spent a couple days in Anchorage, which is a cool spot, and then we went up to Seward for 3 or 4 days. Hit a national park up there. But man, it is mind blowing how everywhere that you look is just breathtakingly beautiful.
Yeah.
And you get there and you just have these massive mountains coming right up out of the ocean.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like,
That's amazing.
huge mountains just, and then at the base of them is ocean.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like it. I mean,
That's crazy.
Hawaii is similar, but even like the mountains in Alaska are
They don't. They
di-
pale.
they're they yeah. The mountains in Hawaii are they pale.
Underwater.
Yeah, like
I think Hawaii has the largest volcano in the world, but it's
Yeah.
underwater.
totally.
But Alaska, it's over. Like that's shit
It's amazing.
immense.
Yeah, so we did Kenai Fjords National Park. We hiked up to Exit Glacier. We hiked all the way up to the top of the glacier. It was a 4 mile hike up, and we covered 3,000 feet in 4 miles. So it was
Damn.
like quite a.
That's
it was-
pretty.
It was quite a haul.
That had to have taken a while.
Yeah, it in total, top to bottom. Plus, we hung out at the top for a while. I think it was like 6 hours. It was
Yeah.
a full day event,
Yeah.
But
What was the weather like?
it was pretty nice. It was in the 40s for most of the trip, 40s and sunny. So it was pretty nice.
So when you're hiking, what are you wearing? What
Lo-
do you end up wearing?
pretty
After
much,
you sweat a little bit and
I was wearing just like a long sleeve shirt and jeans.
like a t-shirt or a sweatshirt.
Yeah, long sleeve t-shirt.
Yeah.
I started off with a couple layers, but then once you get going,
Yeah,
it's
man.
like,
You heat up.
yeah, you heat up quick and you're going up. I mean, it's an uphill climb basically the whole time. And so, at least for that hike, and so you get hot pretty fast. So all those layers come off, and we were talking about waterfalls just a second ago. They've got some. It's crazy, man.
Oh yeah.
It's insane. And
I bet.
they've got like with the glaciers, they've got it like mapped out per year, so you can see. So glaciers are either they're moving all the time, so they're either receding or they're pushing forward. So you can see like they're in a state of recession right now, so they're pulling back, and it's wild like how fast they've been pulling back.
Really?
So it's pretty interesting. So the national parks got it like all mapped out, like timed when
Right.
the years were where the glacier is at certain years. It's pretty crazy.
Is that from global warming? Do they say?
They didn't say. I mean,
No.
they just got it. They just kind of said that it's
Moving faster
moving.
than usual.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it's moving. It's in a state of recession right now. I mean, technically, I guess we're not in an ice age right now, so we're
Yeah.
it is what it is.
Did you stay all in one location?
No, we stayed a few days in Anchorage. We wanted to stay in the city for a couple days, and check out stuff around there. And then we went out to We went up to Seward, which is like it's a fishing town, small little town, but it's all fishing. And we went out on like a boat tour to one of the fjords. Saw like, you know, porpoises and sea lions and stuff. I mean, they're just hanging out, just chilling.
Yeah.
You know, it's just crazy. Like,
it's wild.
It really is, man. And so you see, even when we like saw some moose. I've seen moose before here in Colorado. I don't want to say I'm terrified of them, but I walked up on a moose. Have I told you this story?
I don't know.
So I spent I did
moose are enormous.
They're
animals.
massive. I'm kind of terrified of them. And so cuz
they kill people.
They trample you. They're vicious. Like, they're kind of blind, but when they see you and they know that you're there, if there's kids around, there's little baby moose, like,
you're dead.
You're done.
Yeah.
So I spent 4 days. I did 4 days, 3 nights camping in Rocky Mountain National Park. My buddy is a guide up there. He got us passes, and anyway, we were walking. We were doing this trail of lakes, and my two friends were there. Was 4 of us. 2 of my friends, they're fishing all the streams and the lakes, and me and my other buddy, we went up on the tree line because we were going to meet them at the back lake. It's a glacier lake, so we were going to go to the back of the glacier and then drop down. So we go up to the top of the tree line and we start walking the tree line. We get right above the lake, and so we're like, okay, let's start dropping down into where the lake's at. And there's like a massive rock, and I mean when we dropped into the tree line, I mean, it's pretty dense forests. And so like we were just kind of walking, and there was a massive boulder, and we come up on this boulder, and all I see, I mean, it was 50 feet, not far, 50 feet. I look around the side of this boulder, and there's just this massive rack of antlers, and he sees me and I see him, and we lock eyes, and I was like, oh shit. And the crazy part is like we sit there and look at each other, and then from behind him, this like it was like I didn't even see him, but from behind him I just see another head just like pop around, another big massive rack of antlers, and I was like, oh shit, man, we gotta get out of here. And we just hightailed it. We just turned around. There was not any like engagement. There was no like, hey, let's sit here and take pictures. Let's wait and picture. Like, no, like, this is not fucking National Geographic. Like, this is their territory. This is their turf.
Oh, they'd be on you in seconds, man, if they wanted to.
I know. And that's what I was scared about, is that there was going to be...
Imagine how fast they cover distance.
Oh.
Their legs are like ladders. They're so much bigger than elk and deer.
Oh, just dwarfs elk and deer. I mean...
Crazy. And I imagine in Alaska, they've got to be tremendous size.
And they're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. Like, we walked on a trail in Anchorage and saw, like, a whole bunch of them.
Yeah.
And we went with some friends, and they were, like, trying to take pictures, and it was like, man, you guys are and there was baby moose. I was like, you guys are
pushing
out of your mind. Like, I don't know what you guys are on, but...
I'll take a photo from 100 yards away.
I want no part of that. I'm hightailing it out of there. Like, I want, like, cool, saw some moose, but I want no part of sitting there taking pictures. Like, you know, that's like in my opinion, that's not being respectful of their territory.
I mean, it depends the situation, right? If you're close, or, you know, from afar, there's no big deal, you know. Yeah. But if the situation could be dangerous for one or the other, you know, and that's what happens with all these parks, where these morons go up and try to take a picture of a bison or something, and they get blasted through the air, 100 feet in the air, and just go flying or get killed. Or bears, that's the best one.
We saw bears on that trip too, and when we were up in Alaska, so they have like a certain smell to them.
Yeah.
And when we were walking on this hike, I was like, we're close to bears. Like, we would go through these areas that something had clearly been denning down. And I was like, man, we're close to something right now. Like I had a water bottle and I was like making sure that it was clanging. I
Really?
have a metal belt. I had it attached to I have like a rigger's belt, so I had it attached to my belt.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, I want to make sure this thing is loud because they need to know we're here.
Right.
Um,
Wow. That's
so
see, I'm
it
sketched out from about bears.
same. I don't like. I mean, they're cool.
But hiking in
like,
Alaska actually terrifies me. You might as well go swimming in the Pacific Ocean with the sharks. For
Totally.
me, I'm like,
You know,
there's a monster in those woods.
black bears, I'm not so scared of. The black bears are, they're really afraid of humans, but brown bears are not. And
Yeah.
brown bears are mean.
They come at you.
They come at you, so they're not playing around. So
What,
anyway,
did you guys have any protection or not? The like spray? Wow.
no, we didn't have anything. So I should have taken a bear canister or something, but
for sure.
when I was in the park, I carried a firearm, but
Yeah.
you can't travel to Alaska with that. So
Yeah, exactly.
but I should have taken some bear spray. That probably would have been the smart thing to do, but next time. But anyway, an amazing trip. I kind of was like you. I kind of checked out for a little bit. I didn't completely check out because I had athletes going and
Yeah.
still doing their stuff. So I'm still checking my business and stuff every day. But I front loaded a lot of my work the week before, so
Cool.
I was able to kind of enjoy a little bit less workload. So
That's what it's all about, man.
yeah, that's
Take
the
a
nice
little bit
thing
of-
about remote work is that I
Yeah,
can do
exactly.
stuff that way.
Yeah, you can fit in a vacation. That's a nice one, man. Yeah, I was in sunny Hawaii, so I basically had board shorts on all week, overpacked. We're always, you always pack so much. And I was telling my lady before the trip, I'm like, I think last time we went, we didn't use anything. Like it's, and we got there and it was, for the most part, especially when on the West Coast, it was shorts weather. I mean, it was a little bit humid, warm, pretty warm. You lived in Hawaii. Does Hawaii have a seasons at
It
all?
does. Yeah.
What's the season? Is it flip flopped? Is
No,
summer, winter, or
no? It's still the same. It's just it cools down. I mean, it's 60s
Cools down.
and 70s in the winter.
okay?
Yeah.
So the last time I went was in December, and I feel like that was cooler than we had just gotten back. And first week of October, it was warm. It rained on the last day, which was fine, beautiful, but it was clear all week. Spent we went to Maui and spent 2 days in like a little neighborhood farmhouse in Haiku. So it was like a VRBO, and basically that's central. I would say it's more central east Maui. So we basically spent 2 days just driving the road to Hana, and went to a national park over there, hiked a few miles to a waterfall, went to Black Sand Beach. That was another state park. So beautiful, man. It's just paradise. I don't know what other way to say it. Like you think of paradise with all the jungly flowers and everything. It's just beautiful, and there's no predators there. So that's a bonus when you're hiking,
Yeah.
But it was awesome, man. Just 2 days in the jungle, hiking, waterfalls, a lot of photo ops. Brought my family, got a lot of good memories and pictures, and then spent the last 3 or 4 days on the west coast of Maui in a condo right on the water. So, I spent a few days just sleeping, like I told you, with the ocean just right there. Boom, just listening to the ocean. So it was good. It was good to get away, and that was fun. Just being in the water, and probably the best. I haven't done a lot of snorkeling, but that was the best snorkeling I've ever done. Found this little cove, northwest Maui on the northwest coast, and like it was there was not a ton of fish, but saw some sea turtles and fish too. But I heard from like a local last time I was there. It's like, I think he said in the 90s or something, the fish population would have been so many times what it is today. So I kind of missed out on it because it's like they're few and far between. It's kind of disturbing. You know, it's like, oh, you see this bright colored fish, and oh my god! And then, you know, I talked to this guy I was talking to. He's lived there his whole life. He was just like, that's nothing. There used to be schools of that.
Yeah.
Everywhere, everywhere. You know, I mean, you can still, I think, go out to like Malakini and Molokai, you know, those places, and still, it's a little bit more untouched. I think over there. I mean, they have tours that go over there, but I don't know, man.
Not a lot to do on Molokai, man. I'll tell you that, and
No,
it's pretty
yeah,
barren
so-
because the thing about that island is it used to be I mean, the U.S. military basically bombed it into oblivion. It used to be like
Leper colony too.
it used to be a leper colony. Yeah, so it's kind of like
It's got a weird history. I was reading
it's
about
kind of
it.
in beat. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
yeah. It never wasn't the most desirable place from
Yeah.
basically because it was obliterated, and then I think in like late 1800s they had a doctor. And by the way, what's the disease that causes leprosy? I believe it was brought to the natives by white people.
yeah, probably.
And then, you know, because most of the natives were the ones getting it.
Mm-hmm.
And then they had to basically put them on this other island. And that's where they lived. And I think it still exists today. And there's still like people that live in these colonies. But interesting, you know?
Yeah, Hawaii's got a pretty crazy history.
Really crazy.
Yeah.
It's just, man. And it's like the most remote island in the world, I think. I think it is, like, in terms of nothing else being around for a while.
Yeah, there's one island that is privately owned, still to this day, by this family called the last name is Robinson. The Robinson family. It was gifted to them it was basically given to them, and it's all natives that live on it. I mean, there's not much for resources there. I mean, it's still very primitive. I mean, it's
Really?
yeah, but and
Interesting.
you have to get permission to even
Go
over there, but it's very very primitive.
Is that one of those smaller islands that are?
Yeah, it's pretty far out there, but that still exists. But you know,
it's weird. I mean, we basically took another. It's just more cultures stealing land from other.
well, we took the queen
Societies.
and imprisoned her. I mean,
Yeah, exactly.
you know what I mean? Like, it's just
Yeah.
crazy when you start thinking about, like, you know, we imprisoned the queen, took
Yeah.
the island. I mean, you know, I don't know.
It's conquering.
It is conquering, and there's a reason why the flag, the current flag, not the Maoli flag, but the current has the Union Jack in it. Because there was a lot of British influence, and there's a lot of people that speculate and say that if the U.S. didn't take it, that the Brits were going to.
Yeah. Well, that's what countries did back, even in the
exactly.
early 1900s. That's what they were doing. So something we would never do today. I shouldn't say never, but I guess everything's already taken. You know, we're not out there looking to take more states.
Yeah.
You know, I think people started looking down on that at some point. But I'm glad we got it.
Yeah, it's awesome. I mean,
It's better in our hands than someone else's, I guess. But you know, I like the fact that the protections that they offer, you know, at the national parks is really meaningful, because that is a land that is, without that, would definitely be raped and pillaged. You know,
Totally.
I mean, taken advantage of 100%. You know, just for its beauty. You know, I mean, they do protect the beauty of it.
they do, and there's I don't know if you've ever been up to the top of Haleakala.
That's
there's
on my bucket list. I haven't
Yeah,
been up there yet.
you have to do it. You have
That's
to.
what
I mean,
everybody
it's like an early
3 a.m.
morning. Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to get up there, and the road is it's not as bad as the road to Hana, but
Yeah.
you know, it's very windy, and but there's a plant up there that only grows on that mountain, and it's called a silver sword. And
No shit.
yeah, it's wild, but it's protected. I mean, you can't, like, they are very serious when they protect that thing. I mean, you're not even allowed to get it within a certain number of feet of a silver
Wow.
sword.
That's cool.
So it's again, it's an endangered plant, and anyway,
I don't. I must be the vibe there too, or maybe it's just because I don't know what it is. It's not the people, because there's assholes in Hawaii, I'm sure, just like everywhere else. But the place was clean, really clean. Like on every hike I went on, I was deliberately looking for some piece of trash. I didn't see one piece of trash, which to me it blows my mind. Because you go anywhere here in the States, I mean, hike, whether it's Sedona, trash. I saw trash everywhere the last couple times I went. Just people, just assholes leaving stuff, whatever it is. In Hawaii, man, I did not see any of that. And I think maybe it's because people are more aware of just the pristine beauty of everything. I don't know. And like people like us, if I saw something, or like my sister or my lady, they were there too. It's like, we're just going to pick up trash.
Pick it up.
So people probably help out.
Yeah.
But the beaches were pristine. Everything was really clean. So I think that's part of the draw. For us, it is. It's a true paradise vacation, and with the protections of the U.S. soil.
Man,
you don't have to go to some, I love Cancun in the Caribbean, and I'll be going back there, but there is some sketch in Mexico,
Totally.
So I've witnessed it many times. So that was really cool. Was it the last night, or one of the last days, we went and got lunch at the sushi place on the west coast of Maui, and the dude working in there saw my shirt, and he was like asking about jiu-jitsu, and invited me to come roll with him the next day.
Everybody out there trains, man.
Yeah. And he was so
Everybody out
cool,
there trains.
super cool vibe. Like, he was like, "No, man, I expect you to come see me next time." And so, yeah, it was cool. A couple people grappling with a couple people out there. So, it was fun. It's good to get away. That's what we got to do, man. I think both you and I, when we take our, it's probably have a lot of listeners that do the same. People that are health conscious. I saw a post about this today from this guy I follow, Bobby Maximus, on Instagram. He's a former UFC fighter. This dude's a savage. He's just one of these guys you follow, and he's just working all the time. He literally, I think, said he's worked out every day for 26 years. And I'm not going to doubt this guy if you see this guy's work ethic. Like, his whole motto is to work, just always put in effort. And he's a stud, he's totally ripped. Like, he's a beast. He just won Nogi Worlds for the 6th year in a row, as a master athlete. I think he's a brown belt right now, but he's a beast. I don't know how he's a brown belt. He wins stud. And that guy put a post up, and he was like in the gym this morning while he was traveling to Dallas, where he was just like, hey, he wasn't doing it to brag. He was just like, this is, I just want you to know, this is how some people live. He's like, when I have to get my workout in, and he had just talked a little bit about, rather than, accomplishing something big like winning a gold medal and doing what many of us do, because I've done this, and just splurge and eat pizza, and after your competition you just wreck yourself, or you go on a vacation. His whole point was like, when him and his lady go on vacations or whatever they do, like, they don't just use the vacation. And some people do this, use the vacation as, it's 1 week, I'm not doing anything I do. Like, I'm cheating on my meals, I'm like doing this and that, and I'm going to abuse my body, I'm going to get drunk all the time. You know what I mean? It's like, just let loose. And his whole point was like to stay optimized. And he's only talking about himself, but it works, because obviously he does it. But he's like, we do more active recovery. We're going on hikes. We might eat a little bit worse, but we're still eating clean. Might have a drink or two, but it's not, I'm getting drunk every night. And it was just it was cool just to see. And that's what we do too. Like, when we go on vacations, we're always active, and we want to go see, like, you go on hikes. And that's our, but I know people that are the exact opposite. They're like, in fact, like, one of my daughters, she was with us, and it's like, for her, doing all the hiking and stuff, she just doesn't get it. For her, it'd be about sitting on the beach, having drinks or something. It's like, but it is, I think you got to learn to appreciate that. For me, that's just, it helps, It helps with my mentality, even on vacation. So, you know, we want to be active, but still relaxed and maybe not think about work so much. But
Yep.
it was just a really cool post. And I thought it was meaningful because he had just won a big event. And I've been on the other side where I remember I competed at Master Worlds, and I think we went to Giordano's because they have one in Vegas. It's a Chicago pizza, you know. So both of our families we kind of grew up eating that stuff, and they have like the deep dish, you know. They have like the stuffed pizza, like Oregano's has here in Arizona. But better, yeah. And it's one of these ones. It's called Giordano. It's like so popular. You can I think you can order it online and they'll ship it to you like frozen or whatever. They sell them everywhere now. But I went and ate that. Like that was our tradition. Every time I would go compete at Master Worlds, we'd go there after. And the last time I did it, I was just like almost disgusted with myself. I was like, I weighed myself back I literally gained like 12 pounds overnight because I was just in Vegas. I had cut weight. We went all this pizza, drinking drinks. I felt like shit the next day, dude. I was just like, but that's what it was. It was the mentality of just building up and like, oh, I'm cutting weight. And you know, it's like months of preparation.
Yeah.
So there's something to be said about what his strategy is. You know, it's like, take it a little lighter, maybe not go 100%, but stay in your groove. And that's meaningful because, as you know, it's really very quickly, especially with vacations and stuff, you fall out of your groove pretty quick. You can't.
Yeah.
So I got right back in there, and like today I trained and got some rounds in, and it felt good just to get back in there, you know, because I've already been taking it easy. Just I had some injuries. So like you asked me when I first called you today, you're like, how is it getting back after Hawaii? And that can be a tough one, dude, because it's like you take a couple days just wishing, I wish that could be my life.
Totally.
You know, it's like less stress, you know, in the beauty of it all. But got some training in this morning, back at it, and here we go until the next one. I might go back in a few months or a future trip, and we talked about how we were talking about like a New Year's Eve trip at some point. And you said that people spend
they go
a lot.
They go hard.
Yeah. So tell me about what you're going to tell me with the guys that.
Yeah. So we were talking about New Year's and
in Hawaii.
In Hawaii. So New Year's is, you know, people on the mainland, they go hard fireworks on 4th of July. In Hawaii, they go hard New Year's. And you know, when I was growing up out there, like I was telling you, I think they've tried to tone it down because it was so crazy.
Disruptive.
I don't know how, disruptive, and I mean, kind of unsafe, to be quite honest. You couldn't drive, and if you were driving, you had to drive super slow because there was, I mean, just a massive thick cloud of smoke over the entire island. And it's not like it's up above. I mean, it's in the street. People are, when you're driving, like you'll see, you know, people are throwing firecrackers and stuff everywhere. You would go get these big, I don't know how to explain them besides they come in big bundles between 10 and 100,000 firecrackers all in one big roll. So it's just like a massive roll. If you could see what my hands are doing, if you're a listener, my hands are probably about 2.5 feet apart, and they come in like a massive, big roll. And what we would do is you buy these big rolls, and in the center of this roll is we called it like a bomb, and it's just like even more concentrated firecrackers.
Wow.
And so it's in the center is this like, it's just like a big cluster of firecrackers. And then you roll the roll is all rolled up around. So you take the end of this thing and you attach something heavy to the end of it and you throw it up over the power lines. So now you've got basically a pulley. So you pull the big rack of firecrackers up. So now your strand is hanging from the top of the or not the power lines, but the street lights.
Yeah.
Sorry, so I misspoke there. So you take it.
I was going to say maybe it was cable. Otherwise, you'd be electrocuted.
Yeah, exactly. So you take it and you throw the end of this thing up over
Street light.
the street light,
Yeah.
and then so now you've got a pulley and you unwrap this whole thing, and then you light it up.
Yeah.
So now you just like, and everybody's doing it. So everybody goes and gets these things, and so every street light on everybody's street is just occupied with people, and big
Smoke
aerials,
everywhere.
craziness, man, absolutely insane.
I didn't know that. I didn't know it was such a big deal there.
So I mean, I don't know how the other islands do it. That's how it was on Oahu. They've tried to tone it down. I mean, I don't know how successful that is, but it's a lot.
That's
of fun
probably
out there on New
Oahu
Year's.
has a lot of population there, so
Yeah.
it's probably a much bigger deal, I would think. There,
Yeah,
There's so
so
many
it's-
more people.
But it's a lot of fun, man. We're gonna go out in January. We're going out in late January.
Nice.
So we've been trying to get out there for a couple years. The last 2 times I've been home, we've been hit by hurricanes. So like
Really?
literally the last 2 times I've been home, there's been a hurricane. So I'm hoping this year is not so bad. So, but it's always fun. I mean, on Oahu's still fairly protected.
Yeah.
But so it's never been anything crazy, but we're always prepared out there. But it's just annoying because you've got like 3 or 4 days of your trip that
Yeah, totally.
is like
Storms.
storms, and then I've got like lots of pictures of the storms coming in, and then it kind of screws up all the surf, so it's not clean. It's super choppy. It's big, but it's super choppy.
Yeah.
So it just, the last 2 times I've been back, it's been like,
Is there a season for it?
yeah,
Or no?
there's hurricane seasons out there.
So January is kind of a time when they have them?
Yeah, it's like, actually, I think they're starting to get out. So it's now, so I think it's out in January. So I think the end of it is in November, I believe. November,
Nice.
December. But we're hoping to see some whales out there.
Yeah.
So that's
We didn't
like,
see any whales. The whale season, they say, is November to March.
yeah.
So, and I heard like off Maui, you see a lot right from the shore during December and January. So, yeah, there's so much to do out there, man.
Yeah,
There's
it's
not
awesome.
even time for me to train.
Yeah, my wife
Even if
gives
I
me a
wanted
hard
to.
time. We've been trying to get out there for like two years, but COVID screwed everything up, and it's still all wonky trying to get in and out of there currently. And but man, every time somebody brings up Hawaii, she's not been out there, so she's like,
Oh, wow.
just gives me a world of shit for like we've been together. We've been married coming up on 2 years. We've been together for like 5 or 6 years before that.
Yeah.
And I've been
It's
out
time.
there, but
It's time.
she's never. And she's like, man, I just get so much shit whenever people bring up Hawaii. And she just like glares over at me.
Make sure
And
you
she's
tell
like,
her I went for a week.
I know. I will never tell her that. Because she's going to be like,
Yeah.
I've never been out there. And you grew up there.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I know. So hopefully we're going to check that one off the box in January if all goes well.
Nice.
So, yeah.
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu,
talk
man.
about
Lots of tournaments right now. Master
Lots to-
No-Gi Worlds
Yeah.
was
No-Gi Worlds
this
just
last
happened.
weekend. Master Worlds coming up in a month.
Mm-hmm.
So
Did you see they have another Master
I
Championship
did
in December?
in December. Yeah, so I think
So-
that was, what is it called?
International Master?
International Master.
that what it was?
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's cool.
I don't know what
They wanted more money.
clearly they gotta
There's so many Master competitors, dude.
gotta capitalize while
There's
people are
so
hungry
many.
to compete.
Yeah.
If the people are so hungry right now to compete
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because the last year and a half, and
Yeah.
why not?
More people training. I mean, it seems like the sport is growing and growing. So, and then, I don't know, man. I mean, IBJJF, they just pull in a lot of people just because they're the main governing body. It's amateur, so
Yeah.
anyone can do it, so people always, I saw People are always complaining about stupid comments like IBJJF doesn't pay their athletes. And it's like, it's an amateur event.
Yeah, why would they pay their...
Exactly. People they give them so much shit. And hey, I'm not the big, I know they have their faults, but they also go around every week and put these tremendous, huge competitions together and let people do what we do, So it's like, it's not easy putting one of those things on.
Well, I mean, Jiu-Jitsu World League doesn't pay their
No.
You know what
no,
I mean?
None
it's
of them.
like,
None of those do. That's
no.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, that's
you know
not
what
even,
I mean? It's no one talks about that. I mean, it's just taking a dump on IBJJF, which they're far from perfect.
Yeah.
But
think of what they've done for the sport. I mean,
exactly.
That is where they've made their names. Amateurs and turning pro. Yeah, there's a lot more pro events that are paying money, but unless you're Gordon Ryan or some big name, you're not. The money is not there in jiu-jitsu with these events. I mean, we know people that have towed that path or thought about towing the path to make it, being a pro athlete in jiu-jitsu, and these guys know it's hard. They're not going to make. You got to make a name for yourself to make money. Whether you're opening a gym or you're, the real money to me is in the biggest money makers in the sport are guys that are self-promoters that are selling instructionals.
Yeah.
Gordon,
I mean,
Tom DeBlas, these guys they literally list their ledger on what they're making online to show people.
Yeah.
I mean, they're making hundreds of thousands a month.
I mean, I like, they better I mean, I don't know. I'm purely speculating. I think they need to capitalize right now, because I think that market's going to get saturated at some point too.
Yeah, it will.
You know
totally
what I mean? Because everyone's got,
and everyone's getting better, and everyone. Yeah, I mean,
production value is going up.
You're a black belt, and you can sell yourself.
Exactly.
That's all you need. You don't have to win anything anymore.
Yeah.
Like,
and a lot of
those guys like a Tom DeBlas. That guy, it's not because he was a great grappler is why he's selling these. It's because he's a great online presence.
Yeah.
The guy's known. He's one of the most famous jiu-jitsu personalities. And it's because he is posting all day, every day, and about all relative topics. He's open to everything. But he's got such a following now. It's just cha-ching. You put out some... And his jiu-jitsu is amazing too. Like, don't get me wrong, he's not,
he's
but I'm saying,
probably a great instructor. I don't know anything about him, but he probably is a really solid instructor as well.
I've seen some high-level dudes, huge names, top 5 black belts, and I've seen their instructionals, and I could not watch them.
Yeah,
because they just either their English isn't the greatest, or their teaching isn't the greatest. Like, you could be an amazing jiu-jitsu athlete and not be able to explain things in certain ways, But like you said, there's like BJJ Fanatics. I don't know if they have any barrier to entry. I think you can be like a purple belt. I don't know.
I know.
I think it could be a purple or brown
there.
belt. Yeah, that you can just go in, as long as you film everything, you can put it on there, and I guess they take a percentage of it, obviously, but no sweat off their back. But the galleries, it's going to grow, like you said. And, the great ones will rise to the top, but that won't be because... It will be partially because they're winning, but most of it is because their personality with social media. Mm-hmm. That's what's selling these things, honestly. Because those are the biggest guys. Like, these other guys they're not pulling those numbers in, From what I can tell. Like, some of these guys are hustlers, and so they're just getting their name out there, and the name is what you see when you're on BJJ Fanatics, you know.
And even the guys that, even the pros that aren't doing instructionals, they're still having to hustle. They're selling privates at their gym. They're doing seminars for people whenever they're traveling to compete. Yeah, knocking out a seminar, and then out of your seminar, then you pick up a handful of people that you can give a private to in the next couple days when you're in town.
Now think about that money. Think about that money. You're talking whatever. Let's say you even make $10,000 on a seminar, which to me, that's really high, right? I mean, I don't know, but let's say you sell 100 tickets for $100, a huge
Yep.
seminar. You make a lot of money. Those are few and far between at those prices and those amounts. These guys are making like over 100,000 a month. There's no comparison.
Yeah.
You can do seminars from now until the day you're dead.
Totally.
You're not going to make the money these guys. That's the beauty of online sales, and what we've been talking about with like having a mobile. That's what it is. These guys don't have to go anywhere and do a seminar.
Totally.
They can literally film something and just promote it and sell it and make way more money. So, and that's what the brilliant guys do, like Tom DeBlass. I mean, don't get me wrong. His iPhone probably tells him he spends 19 hours a day on his screen, because I just know what it takes, as do you.
Yep.
These guys spend a tremendous amount of time on social media. I spend a lot, and I'm nowhere close to being able to post where I can post every day. Like, that's time consuming, and have thoughts, thoughtful stuff.
Totally.
And then start communicating and back and forth in the comments,
That's the thing, man. That's and that stuff is time consuming. Like, that's what these guys do that are so good. I've tried it. It's hard, man. When you have to inject yourself into these.
You have to live in that world.
Yeah, I mean, you do. I mean, they are constantly, even in a topic that it's relevant to jiu-jitsu, but let's say it doesn't even concern them. These guys are injecting themselves in these conversations.
Exactly.
Just to be in the conversation.
Exactly.
And just to be in the comments, because they know that when so-and-so is in the comments, there's going to be people replying to him, and it puts his name out there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So, man,
I'd give them all the props.
It's online marketing strategy.
Yeah,
Is what
and they're brilliant at it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know anybody. Think of Tom DeBlass, like Gordon, same thing. He's the same thing. He does it in a different way. It's more trash talking, but he's got an opinion on everything, and he's a winner. Currently the best. So that his sales are, which makes sense. It's like, who doesn't want to learn from Gordon? And I mean, he's the best. Like, so, makes all the sense in the world.
Yeah, man. Yeah, with all the with all the tournaments and stuff going on, I had a conversation with a guy. I don't even want to say. It kind of got me thinking about, like, it's, and I know the answer to this. We've talked about this probably on and offline, but his coach is very driven towards getting gold medals. And so now he, as an athlete, is like, I have to, every time he competes, he's like, I have to get a gold medal or else it's a failure. And it's very external. It's very, like, driven by not the right stuff. And it's like, I'm constantly having to coach this person to be like, look, man, it's not about the gold medal. It's not about the silver medal. It's not about the bronze medal. It's like, it's just being growth and it just growing in your jiu-jitsu and going out there and competing. You're going to have good tournaments. You're going to have really bad tournaments sometimes. I think it's really frustrating when your coach is like saying that what I received as a message and in my conversations with this person is that he doesn't promote unless you win gold medals.
That's interesting.
Very interesting, which means basically
that's like
nobody.
Cobra Kai.
Yeah, super Cobra Kai-ish.
You're either a winner, a complete winner, or an absolute loser.
Yeah, so it got me thinking about, like, what is the value of those tournaments and those podium placements? Like, we all want to go out there and win the tournament. We all want to go out there and get on the podium. But half the people go home in the first round. Does it make their jiu-jitsu any less, or
just for that one moment in time?
Just for that 5-minute or 6-minute match or whatever, does it make them not as good?
Yeah.
Does it
it's a
put
terrible
their
way
belt,
to look at
it's
it.
Awful way. Does it put
but it is, you said, what's the value of the medal? in that situation, it's everything.
Totally.
Because it's subjective. Like, this is what this guy thinks, I mean, and that's it.
I also want to say
in that person's circle, that's probably odd, but it is what it is,
Yeah, this
it's
coach
not good.
No, it's terrible. This coach is a purple belt.
Okay.
So I'll put that out there. And this is in a region of the world where jiu-jitsu is still very much new.
Yeah.
So it just, I had a couple athletes that were going this weekend, and every single one of them, I told them before they went, like, go have fun. Like, go have fun. Same stuff that Bo always talks about. Go have fun. At the end of the day, guess what? Win or lose, your family still loves you. Win or lose, you still have to go to work on Monday. Like, win or lose, like, your coach is not going to be, he's not going to be, unless you are with one of these types of coaches, is not going to be like, oh, you did a terrible job. Because there's an entire body of work that went into training for this tournament. And whether you went out and got bounced in the first round, like half of the people that are in your bracket, I mean, you still went through an entire training spectrum, an entire body of work that led up to that. And if your training is adequate, you should be growing through that period,
Yeah.
And so if you are a purple belt or a blue belt or brown belt or a black belt and you get bounced in the first round, should that affect the opinions of your belt? And obviously the answer is no.
Definitely not the belt. And you can see how, like, something like that, we've talked about this many times, how you want that tight belt versus the loose. This is another one of those examples. You have a purple belt who has this mentality that you're not, first of all, a purple belt promoting people. So what does that mean? He's promoting a white or blue belt and they have to win gold. Like, that's just a terrible.
It makes no sense.
Yeah. I mean, what if you have some physical attribute where you win gold all the time, but you're not that, you're a white belt that's winning gold, but you don't have the skill to get a blue belt. That makes no sense. I mean, it can't just be that. I mean, I guess I can see one side. It makes sense in that, look, if you're beating everyone, you should be promoted. But we all know that it's just not that black and white.
Totally.
That's why some people might see, and there are instances of sandbagging. Let's bring it up to maybe more skilled people where you have somebody coming out of a high level school and they're winning everything, and everyone's like, okay, this person, maybe it's time to get promoted. But they also have all those other, skills. They're getting taught by Andre Galval. It's not getting taught by a purple belt. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So you're already lacking in breadth of skill by getting coached from a purple belt. Who knows where that person, and maybe they're an amazing purple belt, but they only have so much experience. Mm-hmm. They're a purple belt. So then you have them determining maybe, getting an advancement based on a tournament wins. How many? It's like, against who? Are you competing against? It's like, that's only one piece of it, or an additional piece, and it's an additional test. The true test is on the mats every day, and whether the mats don't lie, and that doesn't mean just in competition. That means every day. Every day, what are you doing?
My advice
is your skill being, is it a wide, for me, you have to have a wide, because I don't know. Some people might be just like a one-trick pony and be able to dominate everyone with a couple moves. Mm-hmm. That's okay, and maybe I'm not even against if you promote them. They're killing people. They're killing it in the tournaments and stuff. But to me, I want to be more well-rounded. Like, that's just I want to be a martial artist in that way. Like, I don't want to just winning every goal doesn't mean shit to me if I'm not learning all this other stuff. That's just me. So, and people are like that. Some people go through a lot of their lower belts with very, very small set of skills, and they do well with that.
Yeah.
Is that bad? No. Like, you know what I mean? So it's so different. We've talked about this so many times. The experience you get depending on what your gym and it's completely different, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, when I started digging in a little bit, and my advice to this person was, these competitions are, at least, and this is my personal opinion, so I let that be known to him and to the listeners. It's my personal opinion. Competitions, I think, are great. Competitions are an outstanding way to see, to either demonstrate some things that you've been working on, or maybe it's cardio. Maybe you're working on some system that you want to go out and try it out. Those are like competition's a great way to go out there, try that stuff out, see where you got some holes. But it's also a great way to, are you having the same conversations with those people at your belt level? That's, to me, what that is. Like,
Yeah.
if you are able to, on the mats, communicate with those folks, win or lose, if you're having those, like, and I don't mean like a communication like you and I are talking here. I'm talking on jiu-jitsu on the mats.
Jiu-jitsu language.
Jiu-jitsu language.
Like
if you
movement.
are rolling with that person, and you can even take points out of that equation. Like, if you are able to communicate with that person and have the conversation on the mat with them, that to me is what matters the most. If you are a purple belt, if you have two purple belts and one person is not able to have that same, at least kind of reciprocal conversation, then there might be a problem.
Yeah.
But for the most part, you don't see that a ton, you know what I mean? But that to me is what tells. That to me is what I'm looking for.
But
I don't promote people. I don't promote people, but at the same time, if you're having that conversation, it tells me you're right where you need to be.
Yeah. We measure ourselves and measure others that we see, and measure ourselves against others and measure other people against others when you're watching, whether it's in your gym or online, or it's Ashton Kutcher rolling with Craig Jones. And, it's like, some people are confused because, he's just being dominated because it's Craig Jones. Well, people like you and me see a purple belt that isn't moving like a purple belt.
Right.
It's no offense to him, but it's not because the other guy's better. It's because this guy's not functioning like a purple belt should function, in my experience.
Right.
In my circles and many other people.
Yeah.
But that, you can only test that a little bit in competition. Most of that's coming from a daily training, which also means that most of it is subjective, or I should say, it's going to be objective. The person, whoever is coaching or owns the school, it's going to be only their insight. You know what I mean? So it's so difficult to measure. We've talked about this a million times, to measure people's belts and skill levels. And to me, like that guy, let's even in your scenario where you're measuring, basically, can that person communicate with them on the mat? Well, you can't. You got to look at the tournaments, because yes, that's equal. You're going against another person, but also on the mat every day.
Yeah.
Because you might not be competing that much. What are you going to measure? What are you going to measure the person after 5 matches over 4 months? I mean, that's not a big window into their skill level. You could have them going against people that are not up to the speed, and people that are way better than them. So it's really, a lot of it is the learning experience, I think. I'm a coach now, but the promotions and all of that, I have I have input into that for our students, but this is the gym owner's deal. Gustavo is the one that he relies on everyone as coaches, but he's the man. Like, that's the guy that is going to ultimately give you the pass or not, And the point is like, all of that comes from, like, he looks at a lot of things, and I'm using him as an example. Most of the gym owners I know, and I know several that own their own academies, they're going to be looking at your attitude. They're going to be looking at your skill set, your desire to learn. your commitment to learn, the consistency. That's the things that get you promoted, If you come once in a while and you still compete and you're winning every tournament, that's not going to go far in our gym.
No, it's not.
The gold medal don't mean shit.
It doesn't.
I'm sorry. Maybe maybe you're a wrestler and you're winning gold medal every once in a while because you have this skill and you're not that experienced in jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Or maybe you're a white belt that's killing it, but you're just not there. It's going to take you a little bit longer because in our school, our coach isn't a tournament for Gustavo it's an extra challenge. Mm-hmm. It's a personal challenge.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Did you live up and meet your expectations? Did you put the work in to accomplish your goal? It's much more than just I'm competing, win or lose. It's what are your goals leading up to that? Did you train properly? Do you have micro goal? He has other things that in every tournament, if he'll talk to you, he's going to say, what are your personal, what goals are you going to, what are we going to accomplish within the tournament? Because he knows. He's a tournament promoter. He knows most people go home losing on that day. Most.
Everybody but one in the bracket.
So, you have to, and he's also a mental coach and a motivator. So it only makes perfect sense that you're also measuring all of this other stuff. What did you do inside the match? What experience did you gain? What did you accomplish? Did you get to your position? Did you play your new guard? Did you, were you aware of the points being, maybe you're just tuning in more as part of your goal, because that's a goal for people that when I competed at white belt, I didn't know what the hell was going on in terms of scoring.
You're going out there. There's so much to manage. You're going out there. You're trying to manage points. You got this other guy coming after you really hard. You've got a coach probably screaming at you, and it's like, man, how do I filter all this information?
Yeah. So all those things can be managed and measured, right? So there's a lot. You're missing out on a lot of not only learning but evaluation of your student if you just say gold medal or nothing.
That's
right.
Yeah,
I mean, that's
totally.
what it's, and that also happens that's what your coach is looking at on the mat, right? If they're a good coach and they're watching you I'm saying during training, not during your competition, day to day, they see your consistency. They're going to see you grow. If you've been training anytime like we have been, if you've been in it for a few years and you've been able to see white belts advance, let's say, everyone can see that. Mm-hmm. You can see skill level. Like the guys I train with, they're way better than they used to be. You know what I mean? It's like once you're in it a while, you can start seeing the progression and feeling the progression. That only comes like if it was only based on competition results, none of those people would be where they're at today. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Your advancement is about what you're doing on the mats, being consistent every day, and learning skills and applying them.
Yep.
I'm just a big believer of, I think the ultimate goal would be to have just this wide breadth of knowledge and encyclopedia of information in jiu-jitsu. That's not everybody's approach. It's just not. Like people that are highly competitive, they stick with what they know, and that's okay too, especially once you're skilled enough. But I think as a young learner, especially if this guy's a purple belt, if he's showing white and blue belts, that's a terrible message. There's so much more to the art, to the sport than that. That is, to me, that is crazy talk. Because yes, challenge yourself. That should be a one check mark on the student's list. Yes, they went and competed, they challenged themselves. But it shouldn't be the all or nothing, I think most people would probably agree with us on that.
Oh man. The other, this has been something I've had to work on with this person. The other part of that piece of having the goal, that medal being the driver, is that it really does make the training and the competition not fun. Like it really does. It burns
imagine?
People out.
Yeah.
I mean, how much pressure is that?
That's a lot of pressure.
I can't get my next belt until
right.
I get on a podium, or until I get a gold medal. Not even get on a podium, because the funny thing is this guy just competed a few weekends ago, and he got 3 silver medals, but it wasn't good enough.
So
how crazy
is he close to being promoted? Is that why this is a bigger, or is it just?
This has been constant. This has been a constant thing, and it's like, man, how much pressure is that?
It's a lot of pressure.
So
but it goes right to your point. Like, you're not taking in any little wins, right? I mean, even a silver is a loss.
You
know what I mean? Winning 3 silvers, it's like, oh, I failed today. I didn't get my gold.
And I'm sitting here thinking, like, dude, anytime you podium, that's great.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm sitting here looking at my bracket at Master Worlds with 48 people in it or 47 people in it. And I'm like, Jesus, like,
it's just a personal,
it's
such a
so
personal
hard to get
thing.
on. It's so hard to get on those podiums.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Especially in that group. I mean, it depends on what tournament, right? I don't know what this person's age is, but if you're a master competitor, you can go to an IBJJF and have 2 fights and win gold. Yeah. Like, that's different than going to Master Worlds and having 5 fights, right?
Yeah.
The whole point, though, is that's just your and mine too. That's how we feel about tournaments. There's other people that they're savage. They might be exactly like Wes, same age, amateur. We're not pros. Brown belt, but this person doesn't allow themselves to have any satisfaction unless winning gold. So there are people like that as well.
No, totally.
It's not coming from the coach. It's just coming from some intense drive. I don't have that. Otherwise I'd be a all-time competitor. I like to test myself, but to have that drive where I just have to get gold, I think you have to have that drive. Like, a lot, totally. Most of the people that are winners in my circles, competitors, they're over the top seeking that gold.
Yeah.
Like, it is all or nothing, and they make it happen. So that is an important piece, but you shouldn't be measured for that.
For sure. And the difference there is it's a
personal choice.
It's an internal motivator.
Yeah, exactly.
For me, for anybody who is that driven, who is like, it's gold or it's a failure. Yeah. That's an internally driven person, and not somebody that is like having that expectation put on them by their coach.
Yeah, that's just,
which adds like, if you're in jiu-jitsu, you're probably already a pretty competitive person. You're probably already pretty driven, and then to be like, we're always sitting there like, man, how do I get better? How do I get better? How do I get better? What do I need to do to get better? And then to have your coach, the person who's teaching you, the person that you respect, to put that expectation and lay that upon the shoulders of an athlete, I'm like, man, that's
a lot.
That's a lot. So
that's not good, especially at that. I mean, maybe it's because the coach isn't very
savvy with coaching.
Seasoned, yeah. So he hasn't been in the game that long, and that's just, I think most coaches would, I think as a coach you got to
coaching's an art.
Yeah, it's not all the same approach for everyone. Like, that's another thing here. It's like, you're not going to have the same expectations if you're coaching, and you do this, you're not going to have the same exact advice for every person's situation. Mm-hmm. Maybe you have one of those crazy competitive gold or nothing internal drive people. You're not going to tell them, hey, it's okay. You pick up on that. Like, I pick up on that. I have a couple friends that literally have thrown medals in the trash if they're not gold medals. That might sound crazy, but these people compete a lot and they win a lot. And that's just the frustration of some buildup. But I would never tell that person, it's okay to win. I just wouldn't, because I know that person's mindset and wouldn't do any good. Like, that's loser mentality in their world, and that's okay. That's what I'm saying. Some people are that driven, and a lot of high level champions are that way. By the way,
for sure,
a lot. Yeah. That's how these. You almost have to be a crazy person to win master or to win worlds 6, 7, 8 times in a row.
Yeah,
and obviously great, amazing jiu-jitsu, but the drive to get the gold is 100% a huge factor. It really is. It's a mental, and I think a lot of gold, whatever sport, you're going to find that, that is an internal drive. Now, not every competitor has that. Other, like you said, some people it's not as important, and some people are in a level where they might not ever had of gold, and they just want to get on the podium. But as a coach, you have to know you know what I mean? You have to pull that out of them, and I think that's a good approach that our instructor Gustavo does, because he ties a lot. It's a mindset thing, and it really is. It's like, what's this person's mindset? What goals should they be accomplishing in this competition or in their training? And that's hard. We've talked about that before. If you have a coach that's involved in your school, hundreds of people in that school, that's a lot of goals and personalities you're managing and expectations. So maybe you might not have a tailored one, but you're going to have some sets of approaches. It's not going to be all one. That to me is crazy. And maybe that person doesn't have a lot of students, but everyone's different. Everyone has a different need for a competition, and belt and skill level matter too, right? I mean, if you've been competing since you're a white belt and you're a brown belt, you're going to have a lot more experience. You're going to have different goals. Maybe every goal is a gold medal at that point,
Yeah.
But you got to have some takeaways when you're in the lower belts, I think, for sure, because you'll get discouraged real quick, because there's a lot more losers than winners in our sport, a lot more. So it's just the nature of the game. It is. That's, like you said, on the first day, half the people are gone. So, and a lot of those people might have been gold and have been gold winners and champions before.
Totally.
So
totally,
it's a nuanced approach to that to the coaching and stuff. But I think overall, competition's amazing, but being ranked. Yeah, I mean, let's say you're just some guy that we know, some local people here that win tons of gold medals, and they're ranked nationally. Yeah, those guys, maybe their next belt is dependent upon a gold medal. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yep.
And I said all that, but now I'm saying, like, there probably are times, and maybe this is your second or third worlds at purple belt, and it's like, this is the one. We want to see a gold medal out of you. That's totally different. You have some major competitor. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yep.
They're not being graded completely, but that might be the thing that puts you over the edge. Might be, but that's okay. It's not. You haven't been told that your whole career. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But some people do. I mean, high level competitors, sometimes it is it's that one they haven't gotten, the Pan Gold or the world's gold medal or something. Maybe that is the last one that puts you over the hump, and you get promoted on the podium.
Yeah, I mean, Kyotera got promoted after he lost.
Yeah.
Is anybody going to sit here and take a dump on Kyotera,
No.
And say that he's not?
No, it's crazy.
It's
like, it's all personal. It's all. You have to evaluate every single individual and go from there. So to have that as a blanket rule, that's a little sketch. But you know what? There's probably crazier shit out there, Wes.
There is.
In terms of being promoted, and I don't know, man. I just don't. There's
one thing I've learned. It doesn't matter what it is. If I think something's crazy, there's always something crazier out there.
Exactly.
It seems like it's infinite how crazy people can get.
Oh yeah,
so.
Yeah. I've seen recently. I saw a couple posts of just a couple videos, and they were like, remember I told you I saw that white belt doing like it's like a closed guard instructional, and it was all professionally, like, it was just terrible. I've seen a couple more of those from, like, one was like a purple belt, one was a brown belt athlete, and I was just like, man, I wouldn't have put that video out there. I won't put them on blast. It was actually a female, but they love the social media cred. It's like, and you can tell they do a lot more than training. But I'm still a brown belt somehow, and I put this video up. Hey, watch, and then it's just like the comments were like, man, it wasn't even clean technique. It's just I
No,
don't know.
I've
You know what I
I've
mean?
seen
There's
some of
just
those.
there's just some out there, and it's like I think that's what you're getting at with watered down. There's so many people doing this, you know.
Yeah.
And not to say that that person that I saw, it doesn't mean that that person has bad jujitsu. It just means I'm just more critical. In my circles, it wasn't as tight as it should have been. Who am I though? You know? I mean, that's what I'm saying. There's, in other circumstances, if you're not a jiu-jitsu athlete and that person's teaching you, you're going to learn a lot, probably. You know? I mean, you know what I mean? So it's so different, you know? And I think with so many more people doing it, it's probably going to there's going to be so many instructions. Look at the growth of the instructional market in the last 3 years.
Wild.
3 years.
It's crazy.
It has exploded, dude. I mean, 3 years ago, you were having to go on a web, you just couldn't get it. It wasn't as much even available on YouTube. Now, YouTube's always been there, but just these structured things of where you can pay and athletes can make money. But now they're letting everyone do that. You know, I mean, we could go do that, make a video and put it online, you know. Is anyone going to buy it? That's the key. You and I, we don't have the accolades. So we would have to be some popular social, and that is what I'm saying, you know. You don't have to have the greatest jiu-jitsu to sell a lot of, and no, I'm not talking about Tom DeBlas or any, I'm saying there can be some big name, 1 million followers person does jiu-jitsu. Let's take, what's his name? He's probably the most famous guy doing jiu-jitsu right now. Russell Brand.
Oh yeah. He just
got his purple belt. And this guy, he does train a lot. So I'm going to and he ties his belt correctly as far as I've seen. So he's talked about it on Rogan's podcast. He seems like he's really into it. That dude, and I'm not saying he would do this, but he has a ton of followers. So can you imagine, and I'm not criticizing his skill level, but that guy right now could put out, has a new purple belt, some kind of instructional, and sell
somebody
a shitload of them.
Yeah, totally.
A shitload of them, not just one person, because he's who he is. So that's the marketing brilliance of Tom, Gordon Ryan, these guys. It's brilliant, and they do it because of that. They know that it's there's direct correlation with online sales. Is that going to be? Yeah, I think it'll be watered down for most people because there's so many more people training. Like you said, I mean, everywhere I go now, I just meet grapplers everywhere. Every time we go on vacation. And it doesn't even have to be because I'm wearing my gear or anything. It's just like you just start talking, or I'll hear somebody talking about it, you know, or like my girlfriend would be like, oh, that guy was talking about jiu-jitsu. You know, it's like, it's just kind of everywhere now. I don't know if that's because I do it and I'm more aware of that, but it's growing, man. I have people tell me all the time they want to try, you know, so it's not for everyone, but trying it is. Everyone can try it. But yeah, man, it's going to be interesting in the learning market, I think. And I know you're looking into other things with Down to Roll that's even beyond, you know, having even more virtual stuff. That's all coming. We've talked about this. As soon as the technology gets, I mean, it's coming, but imagine in even 10 years where the tech is so clean and good where it's almost undiscernible that, you know, you're in like a virtual environment.
Well, let's
it's already
just
happening.
like, I know. And that's the thing is like, let's just like play that out where you can have contacts or glasses with internet and I can be right here in this room and somehow my signal can connect to my coach's. I can have, you know, 4 cameras sitting up here and my coach can literally on his glasses almost be in VR in the same room with me.
Yeah.
That's like we already are doing VR stuff. Have you ever been on some of those VRs?
No, I've never been on.
They are incredible.
I take that back. I've done the ones where you go and put them on and do the you go to like a place. What's that called? It's like immersive. You know what I mean? You go to these one of the things and shoot up zombies. Have you ever done those?
Yeah.
They're like they set them up. It's basically like an open storefront or warehouse is where I did it. badass, dude. And this
It's
was
crazy.
like 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Like they have the one at Disney, downtown Disney, I think. I never did it, about like Star Wars. I heard it's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I mean,
that's
it's-
exactly how
it's
this
wild.
was. When I was in there, I could not. I was in another world because it was like
Totally.
a zombie world, and
Yeah.
you have like a fake gun. You put the whole thing on, and it
Yep.
actually has like a haptic suit on.
Yep.
You can feel
That's right.
stuff. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
that's
done that
my
one.
yeah. My wife's parents had. I mean, they had a dedicated computer to this thing. This
Yeah.
massive computer, and it was constantly downloading updates. It was just chewing up bandwidth on their internet. It was just insane, and they had 4 cameras, 4 like. I mean, they're just cameras. They just sit there and they make the environment, and then you put your headset on, and there's like they had like a fighter pilot game. They had like
So they were just totally into it.
zombies. Yeah, I mean they're
That seems like a pretty
so it was
intense
for
setup.
her nephew. Yeah, it was for her nephew.
yeah. Oh, cool.
And he got way into it for a while.
oh yeah.
And so I tried it, and it was like, I mean, you put the goggles on, and you got the vest and all this stuff, and it's like, man, this is pretty legit.
Yeah.
Like, this is pretty impressive.
Yeah. My
And-
heart was racing, dude.
Totally.
My heart was racing. There was zombies
Totally.
coming up on me,
And
dude.
I know.
I couldn't keep up
and you
with killing
like
them.
turn your head, and it's like it's like
Yeah.
vision. Like it's like
Crazy.
you're seeing the person appear. Like it's a vision. It's wild.
It is so.
So anyway, that
It is
gonna-
definitely here.
It's coming, and
It's coming. Well,
once
the
somebody
camera
gets that
part, and I know we've talked about this with Down to Roll. I don't know where that's going with that, but even if you have the cameras around the mats and your coach is watching virtual, that gives people a lot of access that they don't have, especially in remote places or any place where they can't find training, you know. And you could set up training that way because you just have to have some. That's all you need as an instructor is to be able to
That's
look
it.
that insight. You're not. Yes, it's helpful to be able to show a move if you're an instructor. I can just jump in there. Hey, get me in your closed guard. I'm going to show you this, right? But it's not always necessary. As long as you have multiple people, you can do the instruction from afar and teach those people. And I don't know if I don't even know. You would know, but I don't know if Gracie University does any of this stuff. It probably no live stuff, but a lot of recorded. But you could easily do a live training that way. And that's probably a possibility too. It definitely is a possibility, but it's when they take it to the next level when you're doing
that's right.
VR by yourself. And at some point, could you ever make it to where you're actually rolling with someone in another room? Is that even remotely possible? I don't know if your body.
I don't know.
It's
I don't know
interesting.
yeah, I know. I know. You know, Espen is doing remote. He's doing remote seminars now.
Oh, is he? Nice.
So it's just
That stuff's that's definitely coming. It's
know.
the stuff that like video game where you can actually feel the person with some kind of haptic suit and you can roll with the person that's not even there. Now that might sound absolutely batshit crazy, but we send videos through the air into our phones.
I know.
Okay. How the fuck does that work?
Or
Like 100 years ago, you told that to someone, that's voodoo, you know? So
totally.
50, 100 years, there could be a lot of crazy shit that we would never have thought that would be possible. I firmly believe that. To me, it's not out of the realm of possibility.
Not at all. I mean, even just like let's go back to the contacts, glasses, VR thing, right?
Yeah.
There could easily come a day in the next 20 years where, let's say you and I live together or live in the same area and we want to go take an Andre Galvao class. We could put our contacts in, log in, and be on the mat for
That's 100% possible.
An Andre Galvao class. Be there with the rest of the students,
Yeah.
but be you and I, me and you, doing the techniques on our own mats at home in the same place
Right.
as that class.
That I
How
could see
crazy
happening.
is that?
Yeah. That I could see definitely.
That is a
happening.
total possibility.
Totally. That's definitely coming. That's definitely coming. Because you know how this stuff works. Once they get it down, it's like exponentially grows.
Yeah.
like you wouldn't believe,
Now
you know what I
everybody's
mean?
doing it.
Exactly. Once they put it into like a consumer market where it's valuable to sports, let's say, everyone's going to do it.
Yeah.
It's more of a, right now it's because it's more of a leisure activity, you know, so that you market as an entertainment. And I think young people are going to be more drawn to that, but it's more of a for me. I think it's cool as shit, but it's more of a novelty for me, right? I don't have a use for it every day, but once this stuff gets into, you know, the regular everyday workings of people, it's going to go crazy. And because that's where companies are going to spend their money on development in those areas. And they probably are doing some crazy stuff we don't even know right now. So it's going to be cool. I hope they come up with that, because I feel like I'm losing my eyesight as the older I get. It's going quickly. So I need some type of VR, even if it's just to put me back into regular reality. But it would be cool, dude. I definitely want to check that out. I think even if you had the VR, this is totally doable. They would just have to like have the right equipment to film the seminar, and then you could watch it VR from wherever, even if you're just watching and not training.
I know.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
You know? And it's not the same as just doing a Facebook Live. It's not the same, right? Because you can do a Facebook Live of Galbal's seminar right now and basically watch it live. That's not the same as VR. VR takes it to another level where you're like, even if you're in the room, that would be cool. Yeah. That'd be sick.
That'd be awesome.
I got to go do some VR now. The one I did was a zombie one. I took my son several years ago, and we loved it. And it was cool because we walked in. It was in Scottsdale, and the one we walk in is this empty. It's connected to like a go-kart place. I don't know if it's right off the 101, and you walk in, and it's just this room. It's like whatever it was. It used to be an old grocery store. Now they put a go-kart place in there, and then one part's sectioned off, and it's all this just a carpeted room, and then all the walls are carpeted, thin carpet. It just all looks like an office room that's empty, and then there's like these I guess they're like, I don't know, things sticking up out of the ground, and they're little balls on them. There might be cameras. I don't even know what they are because it's kind of dark in there, but they let you walk in and look. Like as you're waiting for your turn, you look and see those other 6 people that are on the floor. And it's weird because they're in another world.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if like all places probably don't let you see that, but this one did. Because it was weird. I was like, they're letting us see what it's like. But then I was like, oh, I'm glad I saw this because it's really trippy. Because I was like, we're about to do this. But these people are walking around and like they're moving around like scared because they're all holding like plastic guns. And they're bumping, you know, sometimes they bump into each other, but mostly not. Most everyone kept a space, but they're moving. And in reality, when you're looking at them, because you don't see shit. For me, the observer, I just see these people with goggles on looking crazy, moving around like scared and stuff. And it's because they're like getting attacked and stuff, and they're going up elevators and their bodies are shifting and super weird. So then it's our turn and you put the goggles on, and that's right when you put them on, it puts you into this world. It's really cool. It's right crazy. When you put them on, puts you in the world, and then it's like, and they tell you in your ear thing, it's like, okay, pick up your gun. And what was the plastic gun laying on the ground, because they tell you to put the plastic gun on before you put your goggles on. So you see the gun in real life, it's plastic. Looks like a toy AR gun or something. It's like blue. It doesn't even look, in real life, it doesn't even look like a gun. I mean, it's just like a blue piece of plastic. And when you go pick that up, when you see it on the floor, it's like a real gun, which is so cool. It's just badass, you know, because you literally just saw it was a plastic toy, all blue before, and like 5 minutes later I literally picked it up and I was like holding it, and for the listeners, I'm like looking at my hands right now, but I'm like looking with amazement because I was like, oh my, because I could not discern.
Totally.
I could not discern. Like, I was like, this is crazy. I know I'm not holding this gun, but I'm moving it around in every way. And then it's like, I don't know. I think you have like 10 or 15 minutes of blasting zombies from everywhere. It's almost too much, honestly. To me, I would like a little bit more chilled out experience. Because it's like at some point there's like 100 zombies coming on you.
Yep.
You know, it's like
Yep.
you can't even shoot the gun fast enough. You know, and you're like trying to protect people behind my son. You know, it's fun. It's super fun. But I want to do the Star Wars one. I heard it's amazing.
Yeah.
So that's badass, dude.
Yeah. Well, hopefully
Virtual
it comes to
jiu-jitsu.
It's gonna happen.
Maybe,
it's gonna
maybe
happen.
we'll be old men. We might need it at that point in time.
Dude, for sure.
Yeah.
I know.
You can get a jiu-jitsu experience without even rolling and hurting your body. Sign me up.
Yeah. Get that
All right,
gold
buddy.
medal.
Good to talk to you again.
All right, dude. Have a good evening, and we'll catch you
Next week.
next week. Yep.